And he is the current president of Serra International. So, Kurt, welcome to Serra Meets.
Thank you very much, Ann, for that introduction. I want to start off by saying that this is a State of Serra address. We do this every year at the National Convention. The president, who has one day left in his term, kind of describes the year and where he feels we are. And let me start off by saying that Wednesday I went to the museum, the War Museum, to tour the War Museum, and we went to the Boeing exhibit, and there's a submarine exhibit there from World War II, and you can actually go in it. You feel like you're actually in the submarine, and you take a trip, a battle trip in the submarine, and of course you see it in movies, and it's just like being in a submarine. But as you get ready to go in to the submarine, they tell you that now there are different battle stations, and you can pick one of the battle stations like periscope, or torpedoes, or engine room. So anyway, I kind of was one of the last ones to go in. And so the last station that was left was the helm. So I thought, well, wow, this is really amazing. So I've got the wheel. And after 56 years of being in Serra, I think it's really nice to have a chance to have the wheel. So I mean, that's amazing, isn't it, to start off the week that way. And it was a. By the way, I recommend anybody that goes over to the museum to do the submarine exhibit. So I have been at Serra for 56 years, but my father would take me when I was in high school, so I've actually been going to Serra a lot longer than that. And as Ann said, I think my dad was president of Serra in 1978. And between us, we probably had 100 years of service to Serra. So I'm very proud of that. There's only one other father-son combination that have been president of Serra. And that was Matt McCloskey and his father. And I knew Matt very well, and amazingly, Matt was at Notre Dame 3 years ahead of me, and also in civil engineering, and I'm a civil engineer, so it was very amazing. And Matt and I were very good friends, and sadly, he passed away this year. And also another person that showed us around in Rio, a former board trustee, Fabio Carvalho, passed away of a heart attack this year after we had been there in last November. So I would like to say, just to take about 30 seconds of silence just in the memory of those two and all the Serrans that died in the last year that I know we celebrated Mass for them in their honor last night, but let's just pause here for 30 minutes for these people in particular. Okay, thank you very much. I may have said 30 minutes, I meant 30 seconds. I could pause and I could say that's my talk. That's it. Okay, thank you very much. I would say the state of Serra is good. Membership is up over 500, as Candace reported yesterday. Seeds of expansion into new countries have been planted. There's a great strides in international communication have been made via Serra Connects, and I hope you all are aware of Serra Connects, but you can go on the Serra International website and see Serra Connects, and then pick a language that you want to read it in. So there's 6 different languages. This is really going to help communications, and it's going to help vocations in the future in the whole world. So I'm just very excited about that. And our Vice President, Manuel Costa, is responsible, and his committee is responsible for getting that done this year. Our relationship with the dicastery for the clergy is excellent. It's better than ever, I think. And we have a new strategic plan in place now. And I don't know if you saw Maura McQueen's presentation, I think it did show the first 3 goals, but it's about that each one of those goals has been broken down. At any rate, in the next week, you will all be getting a copy of the plan. So look forward to that. And for those reasons, that are the reasons I think that Serra is in good shape. So let's do the first slide. Okay, so the year started in Chiang Mai in Thailand, and the chairman of that event was our past President China Rong, and we also had the Archbishop of Bangkok, Cardinal Francis Xavier, was at the dais with me at the banquet, so he was my dinner partner, and the Archbishop of Myanmar, Cardinal Bo, was in attendance. Cardinal Willett was at the conference, and of course the Bishop of Chiang Mai was there. I think he led me in, and the Cardinal from Bangkok followed me. Wow, that's all I can say. But it was a fine dinner and a good start. And Thailand has 26 Serra clubs, and they have 11 dioceses, and they have Serra clubs in 10 of those 11 dioceses, and they're soon to have a Serra club in all 11 dioceses in Thailand. So that's very impressive, and you really get a feeling. And I think you really get a feeling of the family of Serra when you tend, and hopefully you're getting one at this convention. Some people say, why do we pay to pray? Well, believe me, one of the reasons is because you're in a family. All Catholics should pray for vocations. But this is a family dedicated to vocations. Serra charism. And so that's one of the reasons why it's good, it's worthy to pay, pray, to be a Serran. The other one is that another one is that we are aggregated to the Vatican. So Serra is the official lay organization of the church for vocations. So those are, you're not doing it officially unless you're a Serra. So that's our job. Let's see. Okay, this was our first our first board meeting in Thailand. And you'll see on the right over there is Manuel Costa from Italy, and across from him on the left is Mark Sangrada, who was the past president of the Thai Council, and was the newest member of our board. Okay, so I want to talk to you about there were two major changes that happened before the year started that carried over into this last year. And one of them is that our communication employee who had been with us for years, Anna McCormick, just decided to retire for another job. I think she had another offer. And we hired a replacement for her, and she would, of course, Ann took care of the newsletter, organized it, put it out every year. So we hired a replacement, and that person didn't work out. This was previous to my taking over, okay. So she didn't work out, and so the board considered whether we wanted to try to sub that out rather than hire another person. And it voted to do that. And so we looked at several companies that could do that, and we chose Vianney Vocations. So we started the year off, this year, my year off, brand new with subbing that Serra magazine work to Vianney Vocations, and also the new website design. And so I'll tell you my feeling, I don't know about yours if you've got Serra magazine, is they've done a beautiful job. And I'm real pleased with them, and the cost was about a break even between having a new employee and subbing it out. So we're very cost conscious, by the way. It's important that y'all know that, and your Serra board is. And so I think the website is very nicely done, and I think the publications, the Serra magazines, have been very well done. And I want to thank Sam Alzheimer. I know they've been here. I don't know if he's in the room now, but okay. Thank you, Sam, for job well done. We look forward to continuing that with you. The other thing that happened was that we were notified by our IT provider, and we just kind of finished paying off the big expense for getting them 5 or 6 years ago in the first place. We finally paid what we were just going to have maintenance, a small maintenance monthly fee, and they informed us that they were no longer going to support the platform that we were on. And we had 6 months, and they had a new platform, and we could rebuy the program. So we had our IT committee had been studying this for several years, and Joe Deloy and Don Semino, and they had come up with some off-the-shelf companies, which were the one we were using that was kind of a hand-tailored deal. So we had it designed just for us. So that's a little more expensive off the shelf. They have more clients that they use, and it's cheaper because it's one suit fits all kind of a thing. although they can, if we pay them, they can specifically do things for us if we ask them to do it. So it's not just, if the suit doesn't fit, we can fix it. But so for quite a cost savings to go to them. But of course, it's you nervous anytime you change, because we really were doing fine with the portal, the original portal. But the board decided, and everybody didn't agree, but the majority decided to leave our old provider and to go to, and we looked at several, of course, but we chose Club Express, and that's who we have now for our IT provider. And I think, there's a learning curve for any new thing, and there's a lot of people who struggle getting used to this one after they just got used to the other one. But I think it's working out, and I think this will get better and better. And we are also learning. There's a learning curve as to what it can do, and we're finding you can do more and more. And I'm optimistic that this will continue to get better and will be a really good tool for us in the future. One thing you can do on it is, I found out, is you can do your website on the portal, and of course you have to create the webs, so that may be an expense if you don't have somebody in your club who can do that. But once you have it on the portal, there's no monthly cost or anything to maintain it like there is for a public website. So that's really nice, and what that would do is that would allow you to put you could put your history of your club. You could put a little bit about your programs on there that you like, that are good, and then other clubs, and you can travel. You can go from club to club to club. If you go to members and click down there, and there's a button where you can pick other clubs to go see who their members are, and if you have a newsletter, it'll show that you do, and our website rather, it'll show that you do, and you can click on that, and other people can can read your website and in their language, because it has Google Translate capabilities, so they can. So here's where I'm going. So we need to really promote that. This is just in the beginning. It's just the idea, but it's one of my ideas, and I think it's a good one. That eventually each club will have a website on the portal, and it'll have something about the club, and it'll be something that other people you'll make it where other people will visit it. So that an Italian club in Genoa maybe can go on the web. The average member, not just special people, but every member will be able to go to any club and read a little bit about them. Read what their favorite programs are. Read what, like Houston, for instance, we might put a little something about Houston. So that some visitors from Italy or from Brazil might find it interesting to find out something special about Houston. We have NASA, and we have good rodeo, and we have a medical center, and we have pretty good oil and gas business there. And then we have the Houston Astros. Yeah, that's not, everybody's not thumbs up on that. But anyway, the idea is, I think you see the idea where in the future as a Serran, you can sit down on your computer in your house, and you can visit all the other Serra clubs in the world and find out about what's going on there. And you can just see it. I can see it anyway. It's shrinking the world, shrinking the Serra world, where we're all closer. We're closer as a family. And that's what the newsletter that Emmanuel's done, the Serra Connects, that's the idea of that. And I've heard just really good things about that. So those are the two things anyway that kind of carried into my administration that we're still dealing with. Everything else I take full credit for. Let's see. Okay, as I said before, our strategic plan ended in 2023. It was a 5-year plan, and so we had to redo a new strategic plan. And what we did is we asked the Serra International Board and the Executive Committee of the USA Council and the Executive Committee of the Foundation, and at least one representative from each country in Serra to participate in a weekend workshop in Chicago. And if they couldn't make it, they could participate by Zoom, and many did from Mexico, from Brazil, and from Canada, and from Mexico, and from Hong Kong. And so it was very successful. And then then there was a large group that got together in Chicago in person, face to face. And we had Kate Sell. Kate Sell is a facilitator from Atlanta who was just wonderful. And her fee was donated by the Scanlon Foundation, Catholic Foundation in Houston. So her fee was donated. So I know we're cost conscious. We're working on that. But she was wonderful. And this is Kate. And that's a statue of Emperor Serra that's between us in Chicago, at a church in Chicago. It was donated by the Serra Club of Chicago in their earlier 1962. Anyway, that's a great picture, and Kate, I just can't say enough about it. It's amazing what she does. What she took from all of our ideas and everything we were saying, and she collapsed it all into this strategic plan. And then it wasn't just this weekend. We broke into 3 groups of 10. There was one overarching goal, and then we had 3 prime goals that Maura showed you at her meeting, and that you'll see when you get it next week. When you get your copy of the strategic plan, and there's about 7 pages of because each goal is broken down into sub goals. So it's not just this is what we'd like to do. It's when are we going to do it? Who's going to do it? It's to be implemented. So it's in the past, strategic plans often it's really nice, and then it sits in the drawer. And 5 years later, don't we have a strategic plan? Well, this one is going to be a living strategic plan. It's going to be implemented. And we broke down into 3 groups of 10. Each of those groups took one of those 3 goals and continued to work on them for 5 months. So Kate worked with us that whole time, so that we kind of finalized it in December, and it was ready to go to the Serra International Board for approval in Miami in January. So that's what we did in August. We had this meeting in Chicago, and that was August. So in September, I went up to Calgary, Canada, to charter a new club in Calgary. And they have a wonderful bishop there who I think kind of got familiar with Serra in Toronto, which, Toronto is just one of those wonderful hotbeds of Serra, kind of like Omaha and Houston, and anyway, a lot of Serra clubs. And he wanted a Serra club in Calgary, and we've got, in this picture, we've got the governor, Susan Verduzco, is on the right there, and then from the Canada Council, Serra International past president Mario Piscardi is to the left of her, and then Bishop William McGrattan is the bishop who I was talking about, and then on my right is the chaplain for the club, and he's the vocations director for the diocese, Father Derek Remus, and then the new president, Chris Morris, who was also on fire. He's very impressive, and Susan Verduzco, the governor's daughter, made my day, because after the meeting, she came up to me and she said, "I could listen to your Texas accent all day." So it's things like that make the year really worthwhile. And this is a charter presentation to Chris, and with the bishop on my right and Father on my left. So that was a great opportunity. And a little sidebar: my mother's Canadian, so I'm really honored to have had that opportunity. So in October, we went over to Europe. Each year we have an executive committee meeting in Rome. But this year, four of us, John and Margot Getty and Pat Manzo and myself, we went early and we flew to Germany because of Father George, who is a Nigerian priest who speaks English and German as well, had been over here and had been introduced to Serra at Lake Charles, the Lake Charles Serra Club. And he really thought Serra was needed in Germany. He said, "My bishop's going to come and visit me, and I'd like to start a Serra Club, and I'd really love for y'all to be here and meet our bishop." Of course, we would want his clearance before we did anything. So we all went there and met Bishop Rudolph Regensburg, and I don't have a picture because, and the bottom line was it was not a success. And the reason it wasn't a success, and this wasn't right away. The bishop was very, very nice. I really liked him, and I'm German, and he asked us, "Is any of you German?" Which I can understand. And I said, "Yes, my grandmother was born in Bamberg." Oh, his eyes lit up. So I think we really laid a good seed there, but the problem, as it turned out months later, in trying to follow up as Margot did, the problem is that before we got there, and the bishop had made up his mind to try to revive a German lay organization that did basically the same thing we did. So they had kind of were dying. And he had taken steps to try to get that going again. And so he really couldn't bring us in. That would pour cold water all over what he had already initiated. So, if that doesn't work, I think we still have an opportunity to work in Regensburg. But the vocation director there, who gave us that bad news later, he said, that this organization this German organization like Serra is not in Munich, and it's not in Cologne. They're just not there. They're gone completely. So you might have some luck there. So I'll talk about that. So the bottom line is we're going to try again, and we've got an entree that we have met to Cologne, and so Margot Getty and I are going to in October. We've been invited by the vocation director, and he's already got the bishop on board to go to Cologne. So we're really working to extend into Germany and several other places. The Serra Olympics. This is John and Pat and Margot and myself in Paris, and we went there from Germany, and we had dinner with Sister Marie, who is on the left there, obviously. Who is, she kind of runs a think tank outside of Paris. And she is Cardinal Ouellette's kind of right-hand woman. Cardinal Ouellette, it was in 2022 the prefect of the dicastery for bishops. And he put on a symposium for the theology of vocations. That Serra helped sponsor, and the foundation helped sponsor that. It was and I attended it, and it was very well done. It was at the Vatican, right next to St. Peter's, and lots of talks on vocations, written papers, and he's got a whole book, Cardinal Ouellette. But anyway, so the reason for this dinner was twofold. One, on their side, they were going to do a second symposium, and it was going to be in February. This was in October of last year that we met, and they were going to do this in March of this year, and they wanted some financial help again, and what we wanted is we wanted a Paris club in Paris. Serra club in Paris. So anyway, we had this dinner, and the board eventually did decide to support this again to this second, and the foundation also supported it. Maybe a little bit lesser degree, but we did support them. And right now, this is Marie's brother that's up front right here, Louis. Diarview. Anyway, I'm not French, so. But he is very interested in getting the Serra Club in Paris going. So we've got that. That's a seed that's working there for France. So that was part of our trip. Then we went to Rome, and as we do every year, and this is at the North American College. And every year, for quite some time now, the foundation has presented the North American College with a grant, and nice size grant. And that's Monsignor Thomas Powers in the middle there. He's the rector of the North American College. And he is, this was his second year there, and it's done very well. He's very good. He's also a Notre Dame graduate. And so that's Pat Manzo, next to him on his left, who is with the foundation and was with us, of course, and handed him the check. So we do this every year. Then we have they give us lunch, and we are able to sit with the seminarians from our hometown. So we had a couple from Houston who are there, and we got to sit and visit with them and see how they were going. But the whole board sits at different tables and can. So that's really nice to do every year. And then also they shared their boardroom with us. So we had our executive committee meeting there at the North American College in October. And then the next thing we do is we meet with the dicastery for the clergy. And this is in their boardroom. And unfortunately, Cardinal Wayne Sick was at the Synod and couldn't be here, and the secretary for the dicastery, Bishop Moriah was ill and couldn't be there. So we got Undersecretary Simone. Simone Rena of Italy. And he's holding that's actually the certificate of aggregation that he's holding for Serra being aggregated to the dicastery. And this other next to Mora is between him, and that's Monsignor Eamon McLaughlin, who is from Ireland. And the certificate actually sits in his office and faces the St. Peter's. So, and Bishop Eamon is a fantastic person, and we're like this with him. And then there's another Monsignor Kirby from Pennsylvania. It's also was at the meeting. I don't see him in the picture, but he has since been, Bishop Kirby's been promoted to the one of the three tribunals, I think the top tribunal. So he's the judge. He was a canon lawyer, but working in the dicastery for the clergy, and was very active. So at this meeting, we were invited to participate in the first ever conference for the continuing formation of priests that the dicastery put on, and they invited us to be part of it in February of 2024. So we said yes, we will be back in February. So now we're going back in February, we're going back in March for the other thing. So this was, even though the cardinal wasn't there, we had a wonderful meeting, and our relationship with the equestrians couldn't be better. So, and this is a picture of the actual our aggregation that hangs on the wall of Bishop and Monsignor Amos. Okay, and this is then we had dinner with Bishop with Cardinal Willette, who's in the kind of the background next to Margot, and this is Fred George is here on my right, on my left, and on my right is Francesco Rieger, who is the secretary to the Secretary of State of the Vatican. Okay, we better go. I've been told we need to go through this faster. So this is a dinner we had with the Cardinal Stella and Giuliano Ferrari, who is here's another picture of him. So this is Giuliano Ferrari. Giuliano is the president of the Italian Council, and this is Manuel Costa and Giuliano. Okay, this is where we went to Mexico and Merida, Mexico, and that's Melina Salas, who's on the board, and she was our translator and took good care of John and myself. And this is their board with Bishop Berlier, who's their episcopal advisor, and Jose Paredes, who's their president, who's on the bishop's right, and this is they changed episcopal advisors at this meeting. Bishop Berlier had been their episcopal advisor for 30 years. And he's on the right there, and then Bishop Trong Wong, Archbishop Trong Wong of Jalapa, is their new episcopal advisor, and we've known Archbishop Wong for a long time because he used to be at the dicastery for the clergy. And then you see Bertha Acuna next to me, who's on the foundation board and is a past Vice President of Serra International, and her husband Jorge behind her. And they were already, this was a meeting they were having at their annual meeting, and they're already working on the strategic plan, how they can implement our new strategic plan. This was in November, the first part of November. So very, very pleased with Mexico. And this is past President Alejandro Carvajal, and the Queen there is his wife, Kelly. You see who's boss in that family. Okay, then we went to Brazil, and it was held in Aparecida, Brazil, which is halfway between Sao Paulo and Rio. And this is Our Lady of Aparecida. The story is that this was the little fishing village 300 years ago, and they were fishing. The fishermen were fishing, and they couldn't catch anything all day. This sounds familiar. And they pulled this statue out of the water, and it was a headless statue of a Madonna. And they kept dragging their nets, and then they pulled up the head. And anyway, the statue's about 14 inches tall, made out of clay. And afterwards, they couldn't stop catching fish. And this story spread, and Brazil is just the people that just flock there to see this. And now Our Lady of Aparecida is the patroness of Brazil. And This is a cathedral that they built, and it grew up to be a nice-sized town, and this is a cathedral, but this cathedral wasn't big enough to handle all of the people that were coming and wanted to see it. So from the donations and probably a little help from the Brazil government, they built a basilica. This is the second largest church in the world. And the only reason it's the second is because originally it was going to be bigger, and they realized it was going to be bigger, and they deliberately cut part of it off so that it wouldn't be. So this is where we had Mass on Sunday. Under the dome-shaped part, there's a circular altar, and Serra was up on the altar, and there's 1 million people a day at the peak that go through the church, tourists and visitors. And this is their council. The president is Cia Pepe, and on her left is Deacon Ulysses Sabone, who is Roberto's dad, and he is a former side trustee. And he at the Mass on Sunday, he did the readings. Bishop Bison is the assistant episcopal advisor, and he did the Mass in the Basilica. And that Mass was dedicated to Serra and was broadcast by TV to every place in Brazil. It was amazing. It was dedicated to Serra. So we're doing pretty well in Brazil. And this is a picture, that's Roberto Sabone, Ulysses' son, who is a trustee now of our board, and he was my interpreter and helped me talk to their group. And then we went to Rio, and this is Mike Bragg, past president, who couldn't travel because of COVID, so he came with me and down to Brazil and Sharon. And this is Flavio, who next to him, Carvalho, who passed away of a heart attack several months after this. He was in the greatest shape, and I couldn't believe it. And then Roberto Sabrel, who they're both former trustees of Serra, and their work in the Rio Serra Club. And Roberto was telling me he's working with the bishop there in Rio on media projects. So, and then at the end of November, we had the 100th Rosary for Vocations that Tim O'Neill started when he was president of Serra. And I was privileged and honored to lead the first decade of that rosary. So this is another reason why I think the state of Serra is good. So then in January we went to the USA rally, and we had our board meeting there, and we had our nominating committee there. We approved the strategic plan, and Bob Rudman showed the new coins, the new challenge points, which he's now has got produced for half the cost of the original ones. So that's another reason why the state of Serra is good, because these coins are really making a difference. And these are the two boards together, the USA board and, of course, Cardinal Collins. Bishop Daly was also there and addressed us. Bishop Wazinski, Archbishop of Miami. And interestingly, they're all Tom. They're the three Toms were there at this meeting. And this is Mike Downey, of course, addressing the conference. And I think Judy Shoemaker also addressed the conference, and she's doing so good with the foundation, and that's another reason why the state of Serra is really good. She's done a great job in that there. first class. Okay, so then in February we went back to Rome for that dicastery of the clergy's conference on continuing formation of priests. And and this is Margot and Pat and myself, and all of those back there, those are red bags that the priests are going to get when they register. And we had a booth. We gave our material, Serra material, out free. There were 750 priests from all over the world that attended this conference. And on each side of us, there was a booth that was selling books. So we gave ours away for free. But it was a great. I mean, it was just unbelievable chance to meet and spread Sarah's name out. And I just wanted to real quickly. And we met Father Regime, who's the priest he's the vocation director in Cologne. We're going to see him in October. We met Father Raphael from Ghana, Father Joseph Wong from China, Father Peter New, who is working in Japan, and Father Willie, who's the vocation director of Ireland. And all of them we're continuing to work with. And we also met, this is Margot, obviously, and Bishop Ginteras Grusis of Lithuania, he's the head of the European Council of Bishops and was raised in Washington, D.C. of Lithuanian parents, and was very interested, came to our booth several times. So Margot's she's following up on that one. And then this is the newest member of the dicastery for the clergy. This is Patrick Riley from Wichita, whose parents are Sarans. So and this is Cardinal Wang Sick and myself, Lazarus Wang Sick. And he's really doing a great job. As I wrote in my article, we saw a lot of happy priests, and he says the Cardinal said that's his responsibility. And so he's doing a good job. Also in March, I didn't go, but Maura and Manuel Costa and John attended the symposium on the theology of vocations that Sister Marie and Cardinal Willett, here's Cardinal Willett, sponsored, and then we helped pay for it. Then in March, I was up in Canada for the Ordinande dinner, and that's Mike Bragg and Sharon again, myself, and Mario Biscardi again, and then Rose and John Granero, who are past presidents of Serra International. And below them on the right there is Archbishop Francis Leo. He's the new Archbishop of Toronto. And of course our Cardinal Collins. And you know, Fran and Baby and the Cardinal. So Fran, of course, is the president of the Canada Council. So since then, we've been working on, of course, we've had a committee that Joanne Groswar has headed that was to find searching for a new manager of operations. And we also had the communication committee working on the international newsletter. And then John we've been informed that the law firm that we were kind of with in Chicago is moving, and so we're going to have new office space. And so John has been working on probably being able to get some office space for about the same amount of money in the same building. So we're hoping, anyway, that's all of that has been going on since then. And then Serra Connects was actually published in July, and this is our new hire, Irina Cleish, and she's another reason that I think this state of Serra is good.